call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have Duncan and Charlie with notice, absent with notice, right? Grace is gonna be a little late. Everybody else is here. So I'd like to open the meeting up for public comments. It is 6:00. Checking to see if we have any public comments. None yet, okay.
I'll stay open.
Yep, it'll stay open for half an hour, so. Student recognition, Scholastic Art Awards.
So we are so excited this evening to have Mrs. Criscone and Mr. Quinn here to help us celebrate our amazing, talented artists and that I think you'll find will warm your hearts and inspire your minds.
All right, thank you, Mary. So thanks everyone for coming out and supporting us. I'm Patrick Quinn. I know most of you here. Kate Criscone. We both teach art and design at the high school and middle school. So Scholastic Arts, if you're not familiar, I think probably most of you are from the last couple of years, but it's the nation's most prestigious awards program for high school art students, and it's something that we try to participate in every year. This year, I think it was probably maybe the best one we've had so far with most participation. We added a few wrinkles to the event. We had 27 students participate. 21 of them earned awards from Scholastic. 7 of those awards were honorable mentions. 11 were silver keys, and 3 were their highest honor of gold keys. So pretty incredible. Their artwork was on display at Pinkerton Academy for 2 weeks. And we actually took a field trip. That was a new wrinkle that we added in this year. Credit goes to Ms. Criscone for organizing that. And that was awesome. We invited all the kids that participated in Scholastic to join us. And we had 17 students come with us on that trip, I believe, 17, 18. And then we also went over to the Currier Museum in Manchester and checked out their exhibit. So that was really cool. And there was an award ceremony at Pinkerton also, and we had a few students attend that, and that was alongside all of the other New Hampshire art students and their teachers that participated. So it's been a pretty awesome experience so far this year. So thank you for also inviting us here tonight.
Absolutely. I promise I won't spend as much time talking about each student as I did last time too. But here we are. We have a few, again, as we mentioned, there's 29 different awards that our students won this year, which is huge. So we had 3 of these were gold keywords, which is the highest accolade as a high school art student. They will go on to the national level competition after this. So one of them is Bailey, who's actually here right now. So Bailey got a gold key for a photograph. We had 2 students that won Scholastic Portfolio Awards, and this is for our graduating seniors, so they have to submit 6 of their best work. Victoria Wiseman and also Charles Dupree. Both of them are also actually enrolled in AP, so this is the first year that we're doing AP in a while, and it's really neat. It's changed now, so basically it's a sustained investigation, so they spend an entire year setting an inquiry statement that drives their practice and their work. And they have to experiment and practice and revise and show evidence of that in a portfolio, which they'll submit to the college board. So it's amazing. It's incredibly challenging, harder than most college programs even. And these guys are stepping up to the plate. This is some of Victoria's work right here. Some of it is included in her AP portfolio. She does incredible figurative work. The one on the right is actually a freestanding sculpture that's like this tall and didn't fit in a kiln. We had to figure out how to cut the top off and do some. I reached out to Jan Santadolce, but I'm thinking, are there any kilns we could fit in? But anyway, she's been working incredibly hard, tremendous talent. She won a silver key for her portfolio called The Pain of Feeling. They're all based on emotion. And then Charles Dupree won an honorable mention for his too. His is incredible. Both students and all of our AP students are working with both Pat and myself. So we have different styles, so they get a little of both of us, which is amazing. And Charlie does really incredible, more inspired by street art, and his whole AP statement is based on, what's kind of hiding behind the facade that you see. So he's got some incredible work that we'll show you when they finish their portfolios. Then I'm just going to go through the rest of them right here too. We have 3 Scholastic Gold Key Awards. And as we mentioned above right here, only 5 to 7% of all the regional artwork actually get a gold key. So that's only 5% of all of New Hampshire. So we have, Maddie Jetton. This is from photography class. This is a Scholastic Gold Key. We have Bailey Kozowski, who's over here, who has a gold key in photography. We have Jennifer Madigan, won a gold key for her sculpture here called The Liberation of Insecurity. Scholastic Silver Keys, again, only 7 to 10% of all submissions are recognized with Silver Key Awards. We have Nevaeh, which won, it's called A Bright Rose and a Million of Dark Roses. A ceramic sculpture. Another ceramic sculpture from Jaden Benoit called Evolution of Angst. Colored a lot of emotion, a lot of these too. Hazel's is called Protector. You can see the snake is her protector on the top. Jennifer Madigan called The Eye of the Storm. This is a Glowforge project. So we have a Glowforge we've started utilizing for artistic projects. And this was a collage that then was photographed and then manipulated with a Glowforge. So mixed media. Molly Moynihan for photography, Childhood Reveries, a collage of all sorts of her photographs that she collaged together. Gracie Running Fisher, who's over here. Can you pronounce this, Gracie?
Issaquah.
Do you want to tell them it's about it all?
So I'm Native American and I come from the Blackfoot Reservation in Montana, and that is my native language in Blackfoot. My piece means two-faced in my home language, and I kind of wanted it to be representative of 2 sides of drug addiction, and that's what also the meaning of the blue ribbon around its neck means. That's a symbolization of that. And I also kind of wanted just to talk about like the light and the dark side of both faces. That is my piece.
It's very well said.
Yes, I know. Amazing. I put you on the spot for that one. All right, this is Katie Skidova, Obscured Reflection. It's hard to see in the monitor too. It doesn't show the colors as well too, but you can see the obscured reflection in the mirror here too. This is again Katie Skidova, Alligator Mirrored. Connor South. Connor has 3 awards in here. He has 3 photographs that he submitted in here too. This is Northern View. Anything you want to say? Want to say where it's taken?
Iceland.
Yeah, which is incredible. Exactly. Connor is a budding photographer. So, this is Ethan Stinson called Trapped in Mind. It's the heart inside of his body. This is Ruby Walker called Missed Connection. And that's an actual building. It's a facade of a building, if you can't tell, with when a person blinks stare right in the center there. This is Victoria Wiseman called The Depths of Sadness. It's an octopus, so like over the head about sadness and depression, crawling out of the smallest of places. Again, Victoria called The Swarm of Jealousy, the jealous rage and wasps. Then we have, these are all Scholastic honorable mentions. Which again, only 10 to 15% of all the regional awards. And we have, this is right here, Ben Bowden. This is a Congo Goose font poster. It's a graphic design, which, it's incredible design too. Pat runs an amazing program that kids are really into it. It's very professional. They learn like industry standards of anything they would get. They could literally come out of school, it's also Running Start. Addison Harper. This is called Natural Beauty. Addison's a great portrait photographer. She did a few of her classmate Ruby, that she did a few different portraits, some very powerful ones in there too. Graydon Hart called Small Universe. This is actually, believe it or not, in the woods behind the school. This is Cecilia Horncole called Lilac Summers, taken with a macro lens. Paige LaFair, A Day on the Farm, taken at the Sandwich Fair. And it was so cute. She painted this actually afterwards too. She did an incredible painting of it. Hannah Pratt called Upside Down. Katie Skidova again, some selective color called Cafe Du Monde. Autumn Sheehan called Moshloth. You should have seen this thing when she was creating it. And again, Autumn Sheehan, Burden of the Bullet, very intense. Connor South, Glacier, again. You had so many to pick from. And once again, called Altitude. I know, right? Yeah, amazing. And then these ones, we just do these in here too, because these, I mean, again, even though all the students that didn't win awards, everyone put in some really powerful artwork. So just to show you, this is Alex Nelson, Divergent Expression, abstract. This is Jenna Spiegler, A Mind Explosion, again, abstract painting. Estelle Good, called Holding On to Nature. This is a Glowforge project. Leanna Keenan, called Title, taken in the Inner Lakes High School Library. Brogan Donnelly, called Yummy Park Flyer. Lillian LeBrand, called Trevor. Christenia Kangas, it says Title, I think she named it, so yeah, something else there too. And then Addison Harper, Abusers Playground. This was a political statement that was a really powerful photograph. Jennifer Madigan, A Fall to Remember. Charles Dupree, Side Profile Stencil, glow in the dark as well. And again, Charlie, Vintage Speed, acrylic painting. And again, acrylic painting from Charlie. He's trying to achieve the multi-layer effect of graffiti walls. One more from Connor, that is a real Arctic fox, believe it or not. And again, called Abandoned Hills. Ben Budon, which is Vibes Hoodie screen print, which, you know, this is all done in Mr. Quinn's graphic design class too. So they do hands-on, besides just being on the computers, they're hands-on printing and, you know, like a local business. Hannah Pratt, Farmland. Paige LaFair, The Stair. Victoria Wiseman, called Masked Expressions. Nevaeh, Balch, called Winnerific Soul. And there we go. That concludes
We have certificates for the students that are here this evening.
Yeah.
We're gonna
You
help.
call them up and embarrass them.
Perfect.
Yes.
We can, good.
So Addie Harper.
Congratulations.
Thank the Academy.
We included the little.
Oh, so practicing for graduation. Well done.
Congrats, Addie.
And Gracie Running Fisher.
Congratulations.
Bailey Kuchkowski, did I say it right?
Bailey submitted just a photograph, but he has incredible other artwork as well too.
And last but not least, Connor South.
Connor, you could do postcards.
Really?
We didn't miss any other students that are here tonight, right? It's everyone.
And we have certificates to go back for the other students. And I do want to take a moment just to really commend Mr. Quinn and Mrs. Criscone. Their passion for what they teach comes through in every aspect of their work. Their classrooms have multiple layers. You've got like beginning art going on to AP art. And they're just the self-directed learning that happens in the classroom with the support. It's really, it's a beautiful educational experience and opportunity for the students, and it's really because of their passion and their desire to bring that to the students. They never say, oh, we can't do this. They find a way and make it happen. And preparing for the Scholastic Art is a lot of work. There's a lot of organization. It's getting the art to the school. That is one of our favorite pictures. It is a big undertaking, and they do it just, you know, with pride and with care and compassion for their students and a desire to bring them authentic and incredible learning experiences. So, and their collaboration, it's just a model of what good teaching and learning is. So just congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. By the way, I don't know, that's our team, right? It's like the steam team, that's our like. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is minutes of the January 10th regular school board meeting, attachment 1.
You do not, you won't be impolite if you.
Okay.
You probably have homework to do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, thank you.
Nice work.
Have a good night, thank you so much.
You too, thank you. They were going to be very impolite.
Okay. So motion to approve the minutes of the January 10th regular board meeting. Craig, like to make a motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion or changes or edits? No? All those in,
And I did read.
good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, January 24th, special school board meeting and budget review session. Motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second by Howard. Any edits or all those in favor?
Aye.
January 31st, we were busy, special school board meeting and budget review session. Motion to approve those minutes of the, okay, we have Nancy,
Second.
seconded by Mark.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
it's January 31st.
January 31st, special school board meeting.
Correct the error at the bottom of the page. The dollar figure is written as 3,660.
Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, that's not
I
it.
think 30 million.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
It's been corrected on the website already.
Okay, thank you.
I think the same mistake was made on that paycheck.
But that's the wrong side
I
of the
don't think
decimal
that's
point.
gonna fly. All those in favor with that correction? Happening.
I tried to make it less distracting, so
That's okay.
I froze the screen and then
Didn't like it.
it's,
Did
yeah,
not
I
like that.
told the camera that it was asleep. So it's just gonna take me a second, but it's still working, so you can
Can we continue? Okay, so February 8th, 2023, budget public hearing, attachment number 4, motion to approve the minutes of the February 8th.
So,
I have to abstain.
Yes,
So that's the only-
well, second,
Oh, Craig's here, good.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And Mark
Abstain.
abstains.
Wasn't here.
Okay, current bills payable, general operating expenses, attachment number 5, manifest 3022. Hold on. Oh, it's nothing here, hold on.
I got mine. Can you just-
Do you have it?
Yep. 762.
Okay, motion to approve the bills. Is
So
there
moved.
a
Second.
second? Any questions? I see it's right here. All those in favor? Give everybody time to kind of roll it over. Any questions? All those in favor of approving manifest 3025?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence, superintendent?
Excuse me,
Yes.
in my pack, I have 3026.
Oh, you're 3026? Oh,
$705.
I see it now. Sorry, guys.
3026.
It is manifest 3026, $705.
So moved.
Aha, yes.
Thank you,
Second.
Howard. Second, Mark. Any questions? All those in favor of that one that I just missed?
Aye.
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 That
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to correspondence, superintendent,
None.
board secretary, is not here. Board members. None. Okay, superintendent, assistant superintendent report, enrollment report, Mrs. Moriarty.
So an enrollment report was distributed to you. You'll notice no change reflected.
Thank you. School updates. Who's
So-
gonna go?
I'm sorry.
Ahead, you go.
I just wanted to apologize. Mr. Bryant is not able to be in attendance this evening. He's unwell. And so we have Mr. Hilger to start.
Okay, yeah, I feel like I haven't been here for a while, so thank you for your support, and I've been at King Pine, keeping the downhill skiers under control, I guess, helping them, so thank you.
Good luck with that.
So I just have, I have some highlights, from each classroom, and things kind of on a greater scale. So in primary multi-age right now, the students, so that's K1, are working on their opinion writing. And they're using the OREO model, which stands for opinion, reason, example, and opinion again. They're working on place value on an open number line and using base 10 blocks to model that understanding. Middle multi-age, so the 2-3 classrooms, they're reading nonfiction novels right now, comparing, contrasting using Venn diagrams, making inferences and text-to-text connections. The second graders in math are adding 2- and 3-digit numbers right now with a variety of strategies, and the third graders are subtracting large numbers with regrouping. Upper multi-age, so grade 4 and 5, they're continuing their work in their English language arts circuits, which include guided reading and morphology and phonemic awareness. In math, fractions and decimals, and multi-digit multiplication. And they have approximately 200 alevin, I think I'm saying that correctly, which are baby trout in the trout tank. And the baby trout have recently been released from their net enclosure, so now they're roaming freely in the tank. It's quite a bit of work to keep trout alive in the school. The water's got to stay cold, so there's I give Mr. Watson a lot of credit. You've got to keep the water perfect to keep the trout alive. So they're doing well, and that's a partnership with Trout in the Classroom. 6th grade.
Conveniently named.
Yeah,
Oh, that famous trout.
Trout in the Classroom. Trout Unlimited provided us with a new tank this year, which was nice.
Wow.
6th grade's getting ready for their trip to Washington, D.C. So right now they're reading the novel Chasing Lincoln's Killer about the assassination and the events leading up to the assassination. They will visit Ford's Theater, and also this year we're going to visit the Peterson House, which is across the street. That was where they brought Lincoln after he was shot, and that's where he passed away. So that's new to our trip this year. They're planning their museum block itineraries right now. Each student has been charged with developing an insider's guide to an attraction of their choice. And they have a 5-foot by 18-foot scale model of the National Mall that they're working on in the back of the classroom right now. So, and I am happy to say that things are returning to a place that I am far more comfortable with as far as bringing these children to Washington, D.C. Things are easing and restricting, and things are back open the way that I hope that they would be. So that feels good. A couple of other things. The Lego Robotics Club is up and running after school on Mondays. We have a library page program that's new this year. So on Monday and Wednesdays, students who want to be library pages, they spend their snack in their recess in the library, organizing the books, cataloging the books, and helping out. So that's been a nice new addition and success. We talked earlier, we got student council pizza and movie night this Friday. And lastly, I want to acknowledge all of the people that make the winter activities program happen every year, 6 weeks, 6 Tuesdays in a row. I think it's a wonderful use of time and resources. So we got to thank King Pine for their partnership. The parent chaperones that go to King Pine and help out, they're critical. The SES faculty kind of handles the Nordic end of things at school. But Ole Anderson from Sandwich Parks and Rec, his leadership deserves recognition, and Justin Chapman on the Nordic side of things back at SES deserves recognition. So can I answer any questions?
I want to go to Washington DC.
Be a chaperone?
No.
Gotta sleep in a hostel.
No. Stick with the Marion. Thank you.
Nothing below 5.
Good.
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I don't have anything physically prepared, but a wealth of things up here to speak about off the cuff. So last week we had a lot of activities at the school. We had an 8th grade parent night so that families of our rising 8th graders could just get a little bit of information about our program of studies, graduation requirements, and just ask any of the questions that they might have about making that transition up the staircase from where they currently are, or I should say across the staircase. We also had, the Rotary had a competition last week where students got the opportunity to answer, it's a speech contest, they get the opportunity to answer the 4 questions. And the Rotary is so generous every year. We had 3 students that went. We had 1 first place winner and 2 second place tie, which has not happened in the 2 years that I've seen it. But Delaney Sleeper won first place, and it comes with a really nice financial incentive for each of the students. And Sumner Mills and Ben Muscat tied for second place. And it was a really nice event. A whole bunch of us got to just go and watch the students do their speeches. And I'm always impressed with how poised and not nervous they appear when they're in a room full of essentially strangers talking about things that they're very passionate about. So that was really nice to see. I would say the last 3 weeks, I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time in classrooms in 7 through 12 and have seen everything from some really incredible inquiry-based learning to some classroom time where I didn't want to leave because some of the story, we have some, one teacher in particular, I was there to walk through and just see what was going on in the class and found myself after 20 minutes, and I was supposed to be there for about 10, not wanting to leave because I was so engaged in the story that she was telling the students about something that I think without her inflections and her cadence and the enthusiasm she brought to the story wouldn't have necessarily been as interesting. So that was really nice to hear. And as we also, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my calendar because I didn't prepare anything. We also had a the PTO, they sponsored a dance on Friday for our 7th and 8th graders, which was really, really well attended. It started, well, it was supposed to be a Valentine's Day dance, and the 7th and 8th graders asked politely if we could make it a winter theme. They weren't too keen on the Valentine's Day theme, so that went very well, and I think it was a really good fundraiser for the PTO. So thank you to everybody that chaperoned that and made that possible. And this, one more thing for last week. We have some upcoming planning for some trips that are going to happen in April. We take our students to Cape Cod, which is a 3-night overnight trip, and it's a really big commitment on behalf of our staff and our students, who for some it's the first time that they've gone anywhere and been away from their family for any amount of extended time. So the team is working on securing all of the different facets that go into that, including who's going to bunk where and who's going to supervise who and the activities that are going to happen in Nature's Classroom. So that's a really exciting trip that's coming up. We have SATs coming up after break, so we're preparing for staff training and getting kids ready for those exams. So,
And it's winter carnival.
yes, I can't forget about that. So yes, we have with the impending weather, we changed, we have lip sync, our lip sync, which is the community event, is actually happening tomorrow night instead of Thursday night, just so that we can ensure that the kids would still get to have the event and that their families could come and watch. There's gonna be tickets still available at the door for $8, and it's gonna start at 5:30, so we can get as far ahead of the snow as we can. Yesterday we had volleyball, which was great. All of the classes get to play each other in volleyball. It was very competitive. I got to play with the staff team, which was really fun. And today we had Hungry Hippos, and tomorrow and the following day, as long as weather participates, but we'll see, we've got tug of war and quiz bowl. So it's been a really fun week. A lot of school spirit, kids dressed for our dress up days. Yesterday was mismatch day. I think tomorrow is Hurley and Harley day, which is like surfer versus biker. And then it'll be class color day on Friday. So.
Thank you.
I will add, I got to see the ski race on Monday and it was so much fun. The middle school, I just watched the middle school, but there were 6th graders, 7th and 8th graders, and it was so spirited and the kids were great and, lots of parents and selling, all sorts of stuff in crock pots for the kids to eat. So yeah, it was really lots of
Where
good
you
spirit.
at Dunstop? Was it?
Pardon? No, it was at Sandwich on the fairgrounds. The
Okay.
Nordic
Got
teams, yeah.
Those are the wooden thin ones, right?
They look like skates.
Yeah.
They skate ski.
They make it look easy, don't they?
They do make it look easy. Some of those kids were so little too.
Well, they're closer to the ground.
Yeah. It's a whole different ballgame.
And their bones are really rubbery, trust me.
Very. Financial updates.
So we continue to be in a healthy position. We will return next month to having that report that we typically did on a monthly basis for the board. So we'll have that prepared for you next month, but we are currently in a healthy position as we stand at this point in the year.
Thank you. Okay, under old business, 2023 proposed budget. Discussion items, Moriarty.
So you have a budget that has been presented to you. It's an opportunity for you to certainly discuss it if there's any changes. The warrant is required to be posted tomorrow for us to make our deadline for the annual school district meeting. So it really is in the school board's consideration at this phase as to the operating budget that you'd like to move forward.
Motion to approve the budget as presented.
Second.
So that would be Article.
You're gonna look at the articles. or
Yeah,
what
now we can spend as much time as we want discussing it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
So that would be Article 5.
Yeah,
5 is the big one. Okay, so Article 5, Mark. You move that motion, is there a second?
yeah, Craig
Oh, Craig
seconded.
seconded, any questions or discussion?
I only will speak for conversations that I've had. I'm pretty pleased with the budget, all things considered. It's not an easy time, especially when you're trying to forecast an unknown 2 years and 3 years out. So all in all, again, I always go back, we are the ultimate people business. And that's what makes us what we are. So one board member pleased.
Any other comments? We ready to vote on this?
Sounds like it.
Okay, all those in favor of Article 5 passing as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
See, Mary, I didn't tell him what it was in 1986.
Thank you for that.
So should we
I
do the?
remember what it was.
Here we go.
Why do I believe you on that?
So why don't we take them one by one? Motion to approve warrant Article 1 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of
Aye.
1. Article 2, That's the salaries
That's the
of all
what
of
if.
us, yeah. No,
Oh, that's
number
the
two is the salaries that the moderator gets $100.
Right.
That.
We have a moderator?
You do.
Is it Pat
Pat?
Kelly?
Yes,
It's
Pat
Pat
Kelly
Kelly.
is the
Right.
elected moderator for the coming year. No one had put in for the election, so
Who
I'm
left him?
assuming Mr. Kelly may consider running as a writing candidate again.
Okay. Did somebody move motion for warrant articles two? Nancy, Howard seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 3. This is the collective bargaining agreement.
And so really what you're voting on is just the wording of the article. You've already
Yeah.
voted on the
Yeah.
amounts.
Right. Howard, second. Nancy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Article 4, that's if Article 3 gets defeated. As
So moved.
Craig and then Mark, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6 is the appropriation of the 250,000 for the facilities maintenance.
So moved.
Trust.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the standard Article 7 as presented,
And any other business. that
right,
comes
any
before the
further
board.
business that comes.
So,
Craig, second. Mark, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, Mary?
Thank you, that's
That's
great.
good.
And Heather will be looking for signatures before you leave this evening, so we can get that
Oh,
posted
yeah.
tomorrow.
Oh, and make sure the manifest too.
And for Article 6, which is the expendable trust for facilities, I have asked that the architect be prepared to present something about where we are at in terms of the locker rooms to the board for, I think the 21st is your meeting in March, just to give you an update where that process is in planning. So
This is the modified approach to the locker.
I think it's more of a big picture look, maybe the long-term goal, so that at least you might have a sense of what you might be saving towards.
Okay.
So just at least an update, hopefully a visual update as to where things are.
Okay. All right, under new business, ESSER 3 funds discussion item.
So there is about 170,000 of kind of unreserved ESSER funds, so to speak. It hasn't been identified at this point. During the budget process, we talked about potentially for Sandwich, we have 28 students in the upper multi-age for next year.
28 in middle, 24 and upper.
Thank you, sorry. So we're concerned about the class size there. That certainly will be the largest elementary class size for us. And based on the needs of the students, we are definitely still seeing recovery for kids who were at the younger grades. It's taking longer to close those gaps. So I would like the board's permission, if not tonight, in March, for Mr. Hilbert to begin the process to start looking for a teacher for a 1-year class size reduction funded through ESSER. And again, the person would be notified that it is a 1-year position. We have 2 bubbles happening in the school. We can handle 1 bubble. We get strapped by our current model with 2 bubbles.
What does the classroom look like? I'm sorry. Then what would they look
What
like?
grade level?
So, I think some of that it might be a split of 2 4 5s, or it may be a way of dividing the 4, 5, and 6. I think
Yeah.
there's some ideas that Mr. Hilger has, but they do require both of those models would require an additional person.
Yeah, so the 2nd and 3rd grade is the 28. So middle multi-age, because there's a group of 17 in there that has 11 on either side of them. So that we have split this year with Mrs. Reed. She's been our floating multi-age specialist for the past few years following the bubble. But just the way that things are lining up, we got the secondary bubble in upper multi-age with the 24. As long, assuming everyone sticks around. And so it would be probably putting that teacher towards that 24.
So it's a 1 year.
One-year class
using
size
ESSER
reduction
funds.
funded through ESSER.
Now, there are other things that we could have potentially used it for. My argument is we don't want to leave any of it unused.
Correct, we won't. There, again, there's a large amount set aside for the HVAC,
Yes.
for ventilation.
This-
I think, I will be encouraging Mr. Hilger to hire somebody on the beginning
Right,
of the
yeah,
salary
yeah,
schedule.
right.
I think it's a great opportunity for a beginning teacher, quite frankly, what a opportunity to work at, a school that is incredibly, just community centered. So I anticipate it will not hopefully use all of the funds, and the remaining funds, we still have time to figure out, but it, would certainly, make a good dent in that.
That's right.
Again, it's depending on this person's experience, but Mr. Hilger will be looking for that, hopefully beginning educator.
So, there was pressure this year with 20, that's the 4-5 is where there were 22 this year, right? And there
Correct.
was even pressure this year with 22.
Yeah.
My other question has to do with K1 and what the plan is there.
So this afternoon, today's extended faculty meeting, we did a little dividing and conquering. Mrs. Petiti, with Mrs. Merchant's help, they were tasked with creating some potential models for what it would look like if the kindergarten students were to stay all day. And my plan is to bring Mary and the board those proposals, whatever they came up with. I haven't seen them yet because it was just today. Bring those to you in March so that you can look at it, discuss it, and see where we need to go.
I think we're committed to bringing forward a proposal that provides for full day. It's the structure of how that full day will work. Mrs. Merchant is the paraeducator in that classroom. And so that was part of some of their work today as well as over the next few weeks. But I think that would be at the March 21st meeting, we would plan to bring that forward.
Thank you.
We do not anticipate a need for additional staffing.
Okay, and under new business, we have professional climate and culture strategic planning. And it is a motion, yes, Helen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick explanation to the board. In your pack, with red lettering, you have a motion. I read that motion, and I had some limited concerns. So I've rewritten the motion after consulting with the chair. The primary difference between what, don't worry, Heather, I have a copy. But the primary difference is as follows. Professional climate and culture / strategic planning. There's nothing more important to the future of this school district than our strategic plan. And I was concerned about the motion as written because it limits the amount of money we can spend to $10,000. I'd hate to get an $11,000 bill and get no report. I mean, it's that simple. So I have written the following. It's essentially the same, with one major difference that I will point out. And what I've written says, I move to approve contracting with Athena K-12 educational consulting services to support the development of definitions, tools, and processes designed to measure and improve our understanding of the current professional culture within our schools, and to allocate an initial sum of $10,000 for this purpose. It's an allocation. It's an initial allocation It gives every future board the opportunity to adjust upward or downward. It's not a
As
fixed
needed.
law.
Right, as needed.
And that's essentially what it does. And of course, in doing this, I have just made the motion.
Okay. Is there a
I will
second?
second that motion.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
I'd love to hear about Athena K-12 consulting and
They are, sorry.
No, I want you to do it.
So, Chair Merrill had a chance, and I think Mr. Billings a chance to do some initial research. They seem to be a very proficient educational consulting company out of Wellesley, Mass. They have a significant number of consultants who have very, different levels of expertise. I do believe that the goal would be to attach us to a former superintendent from New Hampshire, who obviously understands New Hampshire schools and New Hampshire, Department of Education components and all of that. And they have worked in a number of different schools and have, seem to have done some very successful work.
I did also what I refer to as the elevator interview. And I really was very impressed with them. Well, I did 3 of them. They stood out.
And they seem responsive.
Very.
I'm interested in how they deal with the question of culture and climate, and what kinds of examples did they give you of
So
addressing those kinds of concerns?
what has been posed to them is to start by developing what is an actual definition of an effective professional climate and culture within a school, and what are the components of that. And the other part of the conversation is, once you have the definition, can you build a rubric with various performance measurements that help to identify, where you might be on being effective, maybe exceeding effectiveness, or not there yet. And with descriptions, so that you have a way of identifying where you may fall. The other thing we've asked is that a process for consensus building around using the rubric and setting a rating, and also professional development for staff to help implement, like focus groups, to be able, with different staff members, to be able to determine a rating, and then somehow combine that together to get a rating for each school, and then use that to develop actual goals based on the results and action steps.
And will they, that's great, that's a great answer. And will they, one of our interests was how the board can be more proactive, and once we understand this, can be more proactive in maintaining it and
So I think, one, it needs to come back with, here's where we are currently with the, each school would probably have a different rating, I would suspect. And present that to the board, and then develop an ongoing schedule so that that tool is regularly used. And, again, I think reporting out, this is what, we're learning about our professional climate and culture, where we're currently at, areas, did we meet our goals to move us forward, or are there areas where we're regressing, and why might that be, and, trying to be able to address that. So I think I see it as a cyclical kind of cycle.
And our real responsibility is to support you in making sure that happens. So I hope there's a component of that role in this.
So I think, we do have a follow-up conversation with them scheduled. I think it's getting them to help us build these tools, build processes, and then, working to how we implement them. And then in a sustainable way. That's the key piece. And that there's an ongoing, I don't know if it's to start with, probably, You know, is it something you do every 6 months? Is it something you, although 6 months is pretty short in a
It
school
is
year,
short,
it's
right.
probably really every year you're doing it, setting goals. You know, I think it will be a tool that is used to set those annual goals that we're, you know, working on relative
Yeah.
to professional climate and culture. And then the thought is, that's a good jumping off point for the strategic planning. And can then, you know, I think other conversations develop around how to, you know, take the current strategic plan. You know, again, work has been focused on trying to meet those
Right.
goals, but now it's time to really, I think, update that plan for where the future is and where the next steps are with those goals. And also, I think, to celebrate what has been accomplished and maybe the areas that didn't make progress, and could that be? And how, you know, are those things that should stay on the strategic plan, or, you know, I think it's then moving to a real strategic planning process. But certainly this is a good starting point.
And they would see us through all of that.
I think that was part of our
Yeah.
That's part of our
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah.
And we spoke with them today and we scheduled another meeting. We're not sure Thursday or Friday.
Great.
So we'll have more information.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. In extending the answer to your question, Nancy, as we went through this sometimes painful process as a board, it became clearer and clearer to me that the goal tended to crystallize my thinking. We wanted to do a better job. We wanted to have the information that would enable us to do better at what we do, from the board on down, top to bottom.
Yes. And
So,
I think this consultant can definitely help us
exactly.
with our stuff as well.
We-
School.
Our policies, for example, are lacking in certain areas. We
And
know
they
that.
can help us with that as
In
well.
fact, the law says that it be reviewed every 3 years. That's impossible.
I think that's not necessarily a sustainable
That is-
without, quite
no.
frankly, hiring an attorney who is on staff. Legislation, quite frankly, is constantly,
Crazy.
the amount of legislation related to education has increased immensely, and that all has impacts.
Mark?
I was listening but did not hear the word staff. How do you see staff getting into the
We-
construct?
So
It's
again,
professional.
it's developing the tools, and then the tools will be, you know, used with staff to measure our present level. The other part of the conversation is we have our advisory councils, engaging them in this process
That's
in
what
terms of the
I just
development piece.
didn't want us to be
Yeah.
throwing that out at all of our staff. Surprise,
Yeah, no, I think our goal would be to try to combine
As
Yeah.
her,
the advisory councils and work with them and the administrative team on rolling it out. And also some decisions around what consensus model do people, you know, feel is a good consensus model. When you're looking at ratings and you're in a group, there has to be some way of coming to some level of consensus.
well, of course, and some will have a narrow range and some will have a wide range.
And then how do you tease out, why are you choosing that, why, you know, because that's really.
Well, that's why I
learn
wanted
more,
to
right?
try and understand the construct of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you still have two camps.
Just because you said the word professional, this is in the teacher's contract, it talked about professional employees. That's not gonna be a misunderstanding here, is it? I mean, I'm sure this is intended to be faculty, staff, everybody, right?
I would
Administration.
hope that would be
Everybody,
able to
but-
come, I think we could define that. What is
Yeah.
professional in this case is being used to refer
everyone.
to all staff members.
Yeah,
You know, it's separating from student climate and culture and, you
right,
know, looking at the adult.
adult climate,
Yeah.
right.
They don't want that public relations.
okay,
Do we have a motion?
There's a
Yes,
motion.
Howard read the
And a
motion.
And a second, right?
I'm happy to read it again if anyone wants.
All those in favor?
Aye. Guess what? Guess they
Matt,
want you to be.
Oh, perfect. I'm gonna give that right down here. May I ask to just go back to the ESSER for a moment?
Yes.
Just for
Yes.
some direction.
Sure.
Does the board want to think about that and have
Yes.
that in late March as a decision
I'd like to think about it.
Which one, the?
for the teacher,
The additional
class size
teacher.
reduction?
I'd be ready to do that.
Question for Mr. Hilder, if I could,
Sure.
because this involves the staff, their time, um, and time in planning, I would assume. What schedule works best and most comfortably for the students and staff at Sanders Central
What schedule?
in terms of the action we take?
So the next meeting for the board really is March 21st.
I don't want to miss the vote.
Just to give you some perspective on time. That's because there's the annual school district meeting is on the 9th, elections are the 14th, so your next meeting would be March 21st.
That should give us enough time.
Well, it's, the question is.
I think it's a
hiring
question of
process.
hiring,
Yeah.
really, is the,
I mean, if we decide, if we decide to go in that direction, it's looking for a good candidate. If we decide not to go in that direction, then we will, work like we always do and make what we have work.
Is there any advantage in starting earlier rather than
Always.
waiting till March?
what I would say with hiring, it's always an advantage to
Yeah.
get a leg out there.
Well, this is the first that we've really,
Yeah, I mean, I
Heard
guess,
about this,
can you
so-
explain a little bit more, because I'm lost.
Sure.
I mean, right now, we have the same number of students in first and second and third and fourth, they're gonna move up, so now it's fourth and fifth and second and third. So how is the appropriation different now and is then? Can we get interns instead of full teachers? I mean, what's the options here?
Well, I think, like Nancy referenced, like this year, the 22 that's in upper multi-age feels strained. We supported that,
So there's 22 this year.
Yeah.
And how many teachers this year?
one teacher.
One teacher, okay?
But what I will add is that because of the needs in the room, we've supported that class significantly with the special educator.
Okay,
And that's part of the ELA circuits and then also support in the afternoon during math time. And I felt like that was justified without getting too much into details that I think would be maybe confidential, right? The needs are high enough that I felt like that was a good allocation of the special educator.
okay.
I don't,
And you spent a lot of time in that classroom, I understand, as well, right?
well,
You've
yes,
been-
yes, I've been, keeping a close eye on that class, yes, for sure. I don't feel like keeping the special educator attached to that is sustainable next year, as we've got more needs coming up in the younger grade levels. It needs to be more of a whole school resource versus kind of targeted to upper multi-age. So bumping up to 24 with the needs, without the support of the special educator concerns me. So if we didn't have another adult to offset that, I would probably have to rely on the special educator again to support that situation. Does that make sense?
It does a little bit, but I guess I hate to belabor this point, but, I'm looking at the enrollment, right?
Yeah.
So in Sandwich Central, fifth and sixth has 8 students and 9 students.
Yep.
Right? And so the 22 is what students?
Fourth and fifth grade.
Fourth and fifth.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so those will be going up to fifth and sixth. That's that group, all right. And you would want to do a teacher instead of a special ed for this group, a full-blown teacher.
We would like to split, I would like to take the 24 and split it into 2 classrooms.
2 classrooms.
Yeah.
And then you would still need a special educator in some of those, classrooms.
And then the special
Right?
educator would go back to being like a whole school resource.
And then the other bubble that's lower, right?
Yep.
Which is 28 students,
Will still be 28.
will still be 28, and they'll be going to the third and fourth classroom, which will be just one teacher now, or?
Second and third.
Yeah.
Third.
It's K1, 2, 3,
3,
4,
4.
5, and 6 stands alone.
And for 2-3 next year, there'll be 2 teachers.
Correct.
Mrs. Reed serves as our person who
Chases the bubble.
travels with the bubble.
And that's the 28 number.
Yeah, that she's going to be
24 and
assigned.
that,
And then 4-5 feels like a second bubble.
Yeah.
I think part of it is there are needs in the current 4-5 of fourth graders who will be fifth graders next year. It's been a large class this year. A lot of supports have been in place to make that successful. But a second year of such a large group again is feeling like a challenge. And the range of learning needs within the class. It's a multi-age classroom, you know, you have 2 grade levels, but within that, there is a span.
we've dealt with bubbles. We've had them at ILES on occasion where there's a 20 student difference from one year to the next. But 24 just seems too many at that age group for one person.
It's feeling for this particular group that is not as ideal as we would like to
What's the
have.
state like now? Is it 24 or 22?
So you have, so your policy for 4-5
I
is,
think we strive for 20, right?
right,
It's 20, 25. We
is,
strive for 20.
so, you know, we're at the point too, you know, I will tell you what will happen is every kid that moves in will be into 4-5. That is how it works. I don't know how that happens,
Glenn
but,
Murphy.
you know, and
Murphy's Law.
so,
Well, we do have ESSER funds money, and it's just a 1-year position.
I guess I have concerns with that, because this next bubble is more students, right?
Oh, sorry?
The
next
bubble of
bubble.
28.
Yeah.
So the goal would be hopefully Mrs. Reed keeps following.
Yeah, Mrs. Reed would follow the 28 because,
Okay.
yeah, so my projections, it looks like it would be 1 year. The Mrs. Reed, we shouldn't say Mrs. Reed, but the multi-age specialist who follows the bubble continues to follow the 28, but the 24 will not be an issue after next year because then they'll be broken into 6th grade. So it's really just, in my mind, a 1-year double bubble.
Well,
I don't know.
the nice part of this for the board is that the bubble disappears with the ESSER funds.
Oh, that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
That's true.
it's a 1-year deal.
Right.
I'm sorry, you can't pass it up.
And frosting on the cake, so it may be a budding young star.
Yeah, so like, I see this multi-age specialist camping out in upper multi-age for the next 2 to 3 years. So unless a whole bunch of people move to town, we should be in good shape.
Well, there's full day kindergarten. That might be helpful.
Where are we? We made the motion, we seconded it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a motion, correct? No motion.
You want a device. That's what, you wanted advice, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so now the question is do we want a motion, right, or more time? I
Correct.
guess the question is do we feel like we need more time?
I don't, and I do believe there is an advantage being able to go out and interview earlier rather than later.
I don't even-
My only comment would be, you know, to look for, you know, a younger, you know, a teacher, not on the higher end of the base.
You don't want them at 8:30?
No, because I think we can use the rest of that ESSER money for other issues that might come up. That's the only thing that I can say. I mean, does somebody want to make a motion?
I will move that we move as quickly as possible to fill the potential open position and pay for that position with ESSA funds as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
Okay. Any more comments or concerns?
Yes, I'm thinking.
It's okay. Think.
I guess.
We saw the smoke.
Yeah, I know, I just, I have concerns, right? How we react to that. So, it's okay, we can take a vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments online?
You never closed it.
I never
so-
closed, so I'm giving people an opportunity.
We hadn't, and we still do not.
Okay, then I'm gonna close the
Public
public,
meeting.
7:06 PM, I'm closing. Okay. So, next is, we're gonna move into non-public. For RSA 91A3C. That includes matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such a person requests an open meeting. And RSA 91A3(2)I. This includes matters relating to the preparation for and the carrying out of emergency functions, including training to carry out such functions developed by local and state safety officials that are directly intended to thwart a deliberate act that is intended to result in widespread or severe damage to property or widespread injury or loss of life. Motion,
So
Dan?
moved.
Okay. I think it was it Craig or Howard?
Howard.
Was Howard. Okay, we need to hold the board, right?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
moving into.
Thank you to our building
Non-public.
principals.
Thank you.
Thank you.